So many people spend years carrying guilt for mistakes they made with the consciousness they had at that time, punishing themselves for a version of them that no longer exists. Before the story begins, leave in the comments the city you're watching from, and at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Now take a breath and let this story speak to your heart. Marco was 28 when he decided to pursue his dream of becoming a writer. Not a famous writer, not a bestseller, just someone who could live doing what made his soul feel alive. Someone who could write stories that might help others feel less alone in the world. He had no connections in the publishing world, no literary degree, no family legacy to lean on, just a burning desire that wouldn't let him sleep at night. So he started. Every morning before his day job at a warehouse, he'd wake at 5 a.m. and write. 2 hours, every single day. He told his friends about his dream. Some smiled politely and changed the subject. Others laughed, not cruelly, but dismissively. Writing? That's not realistic, Marco. That's for people with money or connections. You should focus on getting a real career. His family was worse. His father, a construction worker who'd sacrificed his entire life for stability, looked at him with disappointment. I worked my whole life so you could have better, and you want to waste it on stories? His girlfriend left him. You're obsessed, she said. You care more about some imaginary book than about us, about your future, about reality. Marco kept writing, but the silence around him grew louder. No one asked how his writing was going. No one wanted to read what he'd written. No one believed in what he was building. He'd finish a chapter with no one to share it with. He'd have a breakthrough in his story and celebrate alone in his tiny apartment. Rejections came in, one after another. There was no applause, no comforting voice, only the quiet choice to keep going or to give up. The loneliness wasn't just about being physically alone. It was about carrying a dream that no one else could see, about walking a path that no one validated, about fighting battles that remained invisible to everyone around him. There were nights when he sat at his desk staring at the blank page and thought, why am I doing this? No one cares. No one's watching. No one will notice if I quit. But something inside him wouldn't let him stop. Not stubbornness, not ego, something deeper. A quiet voice that whispered, this isn't about them. This was never about them. This is about you and the promise you made to your soul. Marco realized something that changed everything. He had been seeking validation in the wrong place. He'd been waiting for someone to believe in him so he could believe in himself. Waiting for someone to see his worth so he could feel worthy. Waiting for someone to witness his journey so it would feel real. But no one was coming, and that realization, as painful as it was, became his liberation. There's an ancient understanding about the path of those who dare to live authentically. It must be walked alone first. Not because you're unlovable or unworthy of support, but because the journey of becoming who you truly are, of pursuing your personal legend, requires a kind of solitude that burns away everything false. When you have no one cheering you on, you discover whether you're doing this for applause or for your soul. When you have no one validating your choices, you learn to trust your own inner compass. When you have no one witnessing your progress, you find out if the journey itself is enough. This isn't punishment. This is purification. Here's what most people don't understand. Waiting for support before you begin is a trap. You think, once people believe in me, I'll have the confidence to pursue my dream. But it works the opposite way. Once you pursue your dream with unwavering commitment, people begin to believe in you. The universe doesn't reward your potential, it rewards your action, your consistency, your willingness to walk forward even when the path is shrouded in fog and no one is walking beside you. Marco learned this the hard way. For 2 years he wrote in complete obscurity, like a candle burning in an empty room. No applause, no cheering crowd, just the sound of keys and his own breathing, just him, his laptop, and a promise he'd made to himself. But something miraculous was happening beneath the surface, something he couldn't see at the time. Every morning he showed up to write, despite the silence, despite the doubt, despite the loneliness. He was forging something unbreakable inside himself. Self-reliance, not the arrogant kind that pushes others away, but the deep kind that says, I don't need external validation to know I'm on the right path. Self-trust. the ability to hear his own inner voice above the noise of everyone else's opinions and doubts, self-respect. Because every day he honoured his promise to himself, he proved that he was someone he could count on, even when no one else did. This is the alchemy that happens when you walk alone. You stop being dependent on others for your sense of worth. You stop needing permission to pursue your dreams. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you, to believe in you, to validate you. You become whole, complete, sovereign. And paradoxically, it's only when you reach this place of not needing anyone, that the right people begin to appear. In Marco's third year of writing, something shifted. Not externally. Externally, nothing had changed. He was still working at the warehouse, still writing alone every morning, still receiving rejections. But internally, everything had changed. He no longer wrote hoping someone would finally see him. He wrote because writing made him feel alive, because it was his conversation with the universe, because it was how his soul expressed itself. The outcome stopped mattering as much as the process. The destination became less important than the journey. And the moment that shift happened, the moment he released his attachment to external validation, the universe responded. A small independent publisher, someone who'd rejected Marco's work a year earlier, reached out. They'd kept his manuscript. Something about it had stayed with them. They wanted to publish his book. The advance was modest, the print run was small. It wasn't a fairy tale success story. But Marco held that email in his hands and cried. Not because of the publishing deal, but because he'd done it. He'd honoured his promise. He'd walked the path even when no one walked beside him. Here's what Marco's story teaches us. Getting ahead when no one is there for you isn't about superhuman strength or special talent. It's about 7 fundamental shifts, 7 realizations that transform solitude from a burden into a blessing. First, accept that the beginning is always lonely. Every great journey starts with one person having a vision that no one else can see yet. Moses climbed the mountain alone. Buddha sat under the tree alone. Every pioneer, every creator, every person who dared to live differently began in solitude. This isn't a sign you're on the wrong path. It's confirmation you're on a path less travelled. And paths less travelled are, by definition, lonelier. Second, stop seeking permission. You don't need anyone's approval to pursue your calling. You don't need your family to understand. You don't need your friends to support it. You don't need society to validate it. You need only one person's permission, your own. The moment you stop waiting for external permission is the moment you reclaim your power. Third, redefine success. When your work is invisible to the world, success cannot be measured by applause, recognition, or other people's opinions. Success becomes showing up, honouring your commitment, taking one more step even when you're exhausted and alone. Marco's success wasn't the publishing deal. His success was every morning he sat down to write despite the silence. That was his victory. Everything else was just a consequence. Fourth, build your inner circle of one. When external support is absent, you must become your own source of encouragement, your own best friend, your own fierce protector. Talk to yourself the way you talk to someone you love who's struggling. Celebrate your small wins, acknowledge your progress, be gentle with your failures. You're the only person who will be with you every step of this journey. Make sure that person is someone who believes in you. Fifth, trust the invisible progress. Just because your growth goes unseen doesn't mean it's not happening. Just because your effort isn't praised doesn't mean it's wasted. Trees grow for years underground before they break through the surface. Your roots are deepening, your foundation is strengthening. The world will see the result, but right now, the universe is watching the work, and the universe always sees. Sixth, let loneliness refine you, not define you. Solitude can either destroy you or forge you into something unbreakable. The difference is your perspective. Loneliness says, no one is here because I'm not worthy. Solitude says, no one is here because this is a sacred journey I must take alone first. One is poison, the other is medicine. Seventh, understand that your breakthrough is being prepared. When you walk faithfully in the fog, when you honour your path despite the silence, when you become your own source of light, the universe is arranging things behind the scenes. Doors you didn't know existed are opening. People you haven't met yet are being drawn to you. Opportunities you can't imagine are being prepared. Not because you're lucky, but because you proved you were willing to walk alone. And the universe rewards that kind of courage. Marco's book was published. It sold modestly at first, but something unexpected happened. Readers started sharing it, not because of marketing or publicity, but because the book spoke to something real in them. It was written by someone who knew loneliness, who knew doubt, who knew what it meant to keep going when no one was watching. That authenticity couldn't be manufactured. It could only come from someone who'd walked through the fire alone. Within a year, the book found its audience. Within 2, Marco quit his warehouse job. Within 3, he'd published 2 more books. But here's what mattered most to Marco. He no longer needed the success to feel whole. The years of walking alone had given him something no amount of external validation could provide, an unshakable sense of self, a deep knowing that he was exactly where he was meant to be, doing exactly what he was meant to do. The people who doubted him, some apologized, some pretended they'd always believed in him, some stayed silent. Marco felt no resentment, because he understood something crucial. They weren't wrong for not believing. They simply couldn't see what he saw. They couldn't understand a journey they weren't called to take, and that was okay. Their support or lack of it had never been the point. The point was whether he could believe in himself when no one else did, whether he could trust his inner voice when every outer voice said he was wrong. He'd passed that test, and in passing it, he'd become someone who no longer needed to test himself against others' opinions. Marco's father eventually read his book. He didn't say much, but he kept it on his nightstand, and once, just once, he said, "I didn't understand what you were doing, but I see it now." That moment meant something to Marco, but it didn't define him, because he'd already defined himself, in the lonely mornings, in the silent struggles, in the fog-covered climb when no one was beside him. That's when he became who he truly was. If you're watching this, you know exactly what Marco felt. You're climbing your own mountain, fighting your own battles, honouring your own promise, and the silence around you is deafening. No one sees your struggle, no one acknowledges your progress, no one's cheering you on, and you wonder, can I really do this alone? Here's what I need you to understand. You're not alone because you're not worthy of support. You're alone because this particular journey, your personal legend, was always meant to be yours first. The support will come, the recognition will arrive, the people meant for your path will appear. But not until you prove to the universe, and more importantly to yourself, that you don't need them to begin. That you'll walk this path whether anyone joins you or not. That's the test. That's the initiation. And you're passing it right now. Every day you show up. Every day you keep going despite the silence. Every day you honour your commitment to yourself, you're passing it. So stop waiting for permission. Stop seeking validation. Stop postponing your dreams until someone finally believes in you. Start now. Start alone if you must. Start scared. Start imperfect. Start in complete obscurity. Because here's the secret. The breakthrough doesn't come when someone finally sees you. The breakthrough comes when you finally see yourself. When you realise that you are enough. Your commitment is enough. Your dream is enough. Your solitary walk is enough. That's when everything changes. Tonight, before you sleep, I want you to make a promise to yourself. Not to anyone else, just to you. Promise that you'll take one step forward tomorrow. Just one. Whether anyone notices or not. Whether anyone supports it or not. Whether anyone believes in it or not. One step, and then another the next day, and another after that. Because this is how mountains are climbed. Not with crowds cheering, not with spotlights shining, but with one person, one step, one promise kept at a time, in the fog, in the silence, alone. Until one day you look back and realise you're no longer at the bottom. The fog has lifted, and you're standing somewhere you never thought you'd reach. And the person who got you there, it was you. It was always you. Marco still writes every morning. But now his inbox is full of messages from readers thanking him. His family is proud, his friends ask about his work. The external support finally arrived, but it doesn't define him anymore, because he learned the most important lesson of all. You don't need anyone to start. You just need to be willing to walk alone until the right people catch up. Your mountain is waiting. The fog is thick. No one is beside you right now. But that's not a reason to turn back. That's a reason to take the next step. Because on the other side of this solitary climb is a version of you that no amount of external validation could have created. A version forged in silence, strengthened in solitude, made unbreakable by the journey itself. Walk on, walk alone if you must. Your breakthrough is closer than you think.